Coming up next on Your Life, horses and yoga. Next on Your Life. We're on location at the See Lazy You Ranch right outside Granby, Colorado. This enchanting Rocky Mountain guest ranch opened its doors in 1919, and over the past 90 years, the folks here have been dedicated to preserving the land, honoring the great American West, and of course providing their guests 5 spur service. Now the reason why we're here to check out how they're using horses and yoga to bring balance back into some people's lives. Every morning at daybreak, something magical happens here at the See Lazy You Ranch. The cowboys call it the jingle. I call it awesome. Imagine the hooves of 200 horses pounding the ground only a few feet away from you, manes flying and nostrils flaring mist into the air sort of ghost-like. The morning roundup is part of a cowboy tradition that has mesmerized guests here at the ranch for generations.
See Lazy You is very special because of its history. It's been a guest ranch since 1919. It has developed a following of families that have been coming for generations. Many of our guests came with their parents, who came with their parents. It has always been known as a beautiful place with great hospitality and outstanding food. And it's a place of beauty, and we continue to get a lot of new clientele, but we really have a lot of clientele that have been coming here for a long time.
Dean Singleton is part owner of the 94-year-old Colorado Dude Ranch, which is nestled in the snow-capped Rocky Mountains. He says they want to be certain that generations to come will be able to enjoy See Lazy You's 8,500 rolling acres.
We've put much of it under conservation easements so it can never be developed. And the partners here have a shared view that we want this land for the next 500 years to be untouched. And that's important to us. The Western tradition is important. Horses are a big part of what we do here. And the best way to see this beautiful ranch and the mountain ranges is on horseback. This beautiful mountain air and the beautiful scenery. It's a great place to come to get your head together.
And this is one ranch vacation destination where the entire family can unplug, whether you're enjoying some seasonal sports or if you just want to step out of your spurs and be pampered at the ranch's spa.
Find the balance first, then put your hands behind your back.
Now, since horsemanship is the center of the See Lazy You experience, the ranch hosts various horse clinics, including this unique yoga riding retreat with renowned horse trainer Julie Goodnight.
They're both very soothing. Yoga is very soothing and horseback riding is very soothing.
Whether it's the actual physicality of being flexible, being able to bend, being able to isolate your abdominal muscles. So the great thing about yoga is that it combines that mental, just body awareness, focus, calmness, which is so sorely needed in riding, but also you're physically adjusting your body, learning to manipulate your body and move it in ways that are conducive to horseback riding.
So you can see he's extremely flexible, very slender, very well built, and that's all thanks to the lotus position.
55-year-old Dina Bennett has never tried yoga before, neither has her horse Magic. Matter of fact, this is a first for most of the women attending the clinic.
That's a boy.
Dina's goal this weekend is to become a more balanced rider and ultimately refine her communication skills with her horse.
There's a saying that some horse trainers use, which is that you don't get the horse you want, you get the horse you need. And my horse for the past 15 years was a Mustang, culled from one of the Colorado wild horse herds. And he made me a very skilled rider, but a very defensive rider. And now I have this horse called Magic, who's the opposite. He's exactly the horse I need. He's calm, and each horse gives to you as much as you can take and as much as you can give back as you're ready to give and as you're ready to receive. Sounds hokey. I'm not a new agey spiritual sort of person, but that's the way the horses are. That's why horses are used for therapy.
So if we're sitting on our horse, everything from this focal point down is giving that rooting sensation of calm, that you know you're in charge. Everything up is you. Some people are unsure around their horses and they have an expectation that the horse is going to freak out or not do what they're asking. And it's sort of a self-fulfilling prophecy. I always say in my classes, they're a giant flight animal. Their energy is moving up frequently, and we need to help them by being grounded, because it's harder for them to be grounded than human. And so yoga teaches us to be grounded, and you can totally bring that into riding.
Ella Massaros effectively communicates how yoga translates to horseback riding. She rode horses for years as a little girl, right until college, and then life got into the way. Now, 30 years later, she's back in the saddle. It's a very familiar sounding story.
I had my first horse when I was 8 years old. Took some years off when I was doing the college thing and the first job. And then a few years back, a friend gave me a gift certificate for a riding lesson, and 2 weeks later I was leasing a horse. Now 5 years later, I own 4 horses. I ride every day. I have a trailer. I have a barn. Just got really deep into it. Love it.
Getting close to her 50s and an avid competition rider, Rochelle Putnam says yoga helps improve her flexibility, stability strength, and even her breathing.
I think the most important thing that yoga taught me was breathing. I have a young Dutch warmblood who's 5 years old, and he was very nervous on the trail. And he was especially nervous when a big truck would come up behind us. So now what I do with him is if I hear a truck coming, I just breathe out, and I kind of loosen the reins, loosen my whole body, sink deeply into the seat, and his ears flick back and he says, "Okay, Mom's okay, I'm okay." And he doesn't spook anymore. It's amazing. The whole breathing thing is extraordinary.
Find the balance first, then put your hands behind your back.
It's all about balance. As for me, this was my first experience attending a riding clinic. I must admit, it was a lot of fun and full of golden nuggets of information that I couldn't wait to try with my own horses back home.
But reverse gear, you really got to sit down on your horse. Let your legs come forward a little bit.
I'm always looking for ways to keep the horse between me and the ground.
My biggest desire is that people walk away from this clinic with a big sense of satisfaction and accomplishment, that they have greater confidence, that they can't wait to go home and try it on their own horse, and a greater sense of enthusiasm about doing more and trying it again. And so just bringing a new energy into their horsemanship and definitely building confidence. And it's really important to me that they have a sense of personal accomplishment. For everybody, that sense of accomplishment is going to be different, but as long as they had it, I'm happy.
Coming up next on Your Life Redefined, how trainer Julie Goodnight's passion for horses continues to redefine her life. Stay tuned, Your Life Redefined will be right back. Welcome back. We're on location in Granby, Colorado, talking with natural horse trainer Julie Goodnight. On today's Your Life story, Julie shares with us how her passion for horses evolved into a career and how life is a never-ending transition.
Reward him by dropping your hand down on his neck. All you got to do is reach down and touch your saddle pad. I'm Julie Goodnight. I'm a horse trainer and clinician. I want him to think he's training me to put my hand down on the saddle pad. My passion for horses came at a very early age. I grew up on a horse farm. I was a very shy and introverted child. My father was the first influential horseman in my life. Because I was shy and introverted and didn't have a lot of friends, I spent all my time with the horses in the pastures, in the pen, and riding became my passion early on. And I was really fortunate to have a father who was into horses and who recognized my passion and allowed me to pursue it. I showed on the hunter-jumper circuit and had a lot of training in dressage and what we refer to today as classical horsemanship. Number 1, dictate the path. Number 2, dictate the speed. I didn't plan on being in a horse career at all. I did plan to enjoy whatever it was I did, so I actually majored in outdoor education. But everywhere I went, the path of least resistance for me was always horses. So throughout college, I worked on the racetrack, riding race horses. I worked on breeding farms and the like. And then when I graduated from college, I moved to Colorado, and the first job that came my way happened to be a horse job, managing and training for an Arab show barn and breeding farm. So it was within the first year after college that it occurred to me that since everywhere I went I ended up in a horse job, maybe I should just think about doing it as a career. But I couldn't figure out exactly how to do it. Working for someone else wasn't really cutting it for me. I was working too hard, riding too many horses, doing things in a compromised way because they were somebody else's horses. So I set about trying to design the perfect business for me. And I became an independent horse trainer in 1985 and have worked for myself ever since.
When I turn this way, suddenly my inside leg's forward and my outside leg is back.
Teaching turned out to be my forte. I love training horses and I'm passionate about that and about studying horse behavior, but what my true talent is in teaching other people. So I'm on the road about 40 weeks a year now, teaching other people how to work with their horses, or doing the TV show, working with individual horses and riders, and just teaching them to be better and teaching them to understand the horse. The thing that is most satisfying is helping the horses. But I have to help the people to help the horses. Don't get me wrong, I get a lot of satisfaction out of helping people. But what I love most of all is helping the horses, because when you help the rider, you help the horse. And the more I can improve the rider, the easier it is for the horse to do his job. Horses are unbelievably willing and kind animals, and they're willing to do what you want them to do. If they're not doing it, it's because you're doing something wrong. So it's doubly satisfying to see the joy in the person's face when they finally get it right, but it's such a relief to see the satisfaction in the horse when he is no longer being pulled on or no longer getting conflicting signals, and he understands, and it's easier for him. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. I really enjoy doing the TV show. My show is called Horse Master. It plays weekly on RFD TV. We work with a unique horse and rider in each show, and we try to isolate to one specific topic, and we try to use the topics that everyday horse people deal with. So the show is not about, can I get the horse to do something? The show is about, can you get the horse to do something? So it's been fun. As far as working with the people and horses, that's what I do every day. That's what I do all the time. But organizing that into the TV show and learning the storyline and the process, it's been a new challenge for me beyond horses. I guess because the older I get, the more complicated my career becomes. But I find that I have to start pacing myself a little bit more. It's giving myself permission to relax, and I think particularly if you're of the workaholic persuasion, you get to a point where you start feeling guilty if you're not working. The older I get, the more I'm getting aware that I need that time to refresh and regroup. I don't set big, lofty, huge goals, but I just want to be a little bit better in all ways next year than I was this year. I just want to keep getting better, and that's why horses are a perfect fit for me, because you can never really get there. You can always do a little bit better, and you can always learn a little something more. I think that's the great thing about this sport, is you can just always get better.
Coming up next on Your Life Redefined.
I call it the puppy syndrome. They think because if they get a dog, they want to get it as a puppy, that they should do that with a horse.
With more and more boomers getting back in the saddle, horsemanship trainer Julie Goodnight has some advice when it comes to finding the right horse. Stay tuned. Your Life Redefined will be right back. It's now time for some trivia. On the Lone Ranger, what was the name of Tonto's horse? The answer when we come back. Did you figure out our trivia question? Well, the answer is B. Tonto first rode a paint horse named Whitefella. Later, this horse was exchanged for a pinto named Scout. Welcome back. We're taking a look at how boomers are redefining what it means to be middle-aged. More and more people are just beginning to live their lifelong dream of horse ownership. On today's Tail End segment, horse trainer Julie Goodnight shares with us what to look for in a horse.
This is my personal horse. His name is Dooley. Or we call him Dooley. His registered name is Doolin Command.
Good, Anna. Lift your sternum, Anna.
He's a 10-year-old quarter horse, gelding. I bought him when he was a 6-year-old.
Good. Don't pull back, don't pull back. Reach forward, reach forward.
Pretty hard to go wrong with a quarter horse. I think that they're, you know, just a good, solid breed. They have a lot of versatility for different sports and different disciplines. Usually calm and well-tempered. And so I'm a big fan of quarter horses, but depending on, you know, the type of riding that you're going to do, you might need a different type of horse.
You ride to the points beyond the turn.
He's a very friendly and affectionate horse.
So, would you ever sell Dooley?
Well, every time somebody asks me about buying Dooley, the price goes up. So I tend to keep him at a price range nobody would buy him. My dad always used to say,
What do you love him so much?
I really like that horse. I'd just hate it if somebody offered me $2,500 for him.
What do you love about Dooley so much?
He's a very athletic horse. He can pretty much do anything. He's a very cowy horse. He lives to chase cows. So he's fun. He's a very sensitive horse. That's the part that makes him high maintenance, but he's extremely responsive and sensitive to your aids. And probably the thing that is best about him is his temperament. He just tries so hard to please you and do the right thing, and that's just such an invaluable quality in a horse, that kind of willing and giving, eager to please. For anyone looking for a horse, I think there's some really important things to consider. First of all, the age of the horse. The mistake people make is in getting horses that are too young for them, and I call it the puppy syndrome. They think because if they get a dog, they want to get it as a puppy, that they should do that with a horse. But older is better in horses. It's very difficult to train young horses. It takes many years, a lot of professional help. And you can always buy a well-trained horse cheaper than you can put training on a horse. So we look for horses that are in the minimum 8 to 10 age range. We look for horses that have been professionally trained and that have been shown or traveled, done something, so they've had a lot of seasoning and exposure. You know, I like horses that have maybe gone to rodeos, gone horseback, and just been there, done that, done a lot of stuff. So that's what we call seasoning. So you want age, seasoning, and training. And then probably the biggest factor to consider is temperament, because you can't change a horse's temperament. So training might make a bad-tempered horse manageable, but it's not going to turn him into a good horse.
Coming up next on Your Life Redefined.
You want to make sure your horse is well trained to load in the trailer and is accustomed to being in the trailer.
Whether it's a riding clinic or just a destination trail ride, when we come back, Julie Goodnight defines what you need to keep in mind when it comes to safely traveling with a horse. Next on Your Life Redefined. We're on location in Granby, Colorado with one of America's favorite horse trainers, Julie Goodnight. Julie is talking about how to travel safe with your big four-legged furry friend.
You're not trained to stop when my legs go forward. He's trained to back up when my leg goes forward.
Some tips getting your horse ready for travel. What do you recommend?
You want to make sure that your equipment is in tip-top shape, your truck, your trailer, wheel bearings, a safe trailer, everything's taken care of there. Secondly, you want to make sure your horse is well trained to load in the trailer and is accustomed to being in the trailer. If I'm going to make a big trip with a horse, I want to make sure he loads well. Do I need to spend some time training him to load and unload, because I don't want that to be a hassle. I want to make sure he's comfortable in the trailer for extended periods of time. So if he hasn't trailered much, I might take him on some short trips and feed him in the trailer for a while so it becomes a happy place to him. And then if you're traveling with your horses, their exposure to disease is greatly increased. So you want to make sure you have the full array of shots. Our horses that travel get additional vaccines from the ones that stay at home, and just because of the increased risk of infectious disease. And also, if you're doing a lot of traveling, their immune system is going to be a little compromised as they're stressed and all that. So I want to make sure they're up to date on all that. Usually before I travel, I make sure I've been feeding a lot of salt to my horse. If my horse isn't a good salt eater, I'll top dress the salt so he's drinking a lot. You need to know how finicky a drinker your horse is. If you arrive at a city, like for us, we live in the country and we have well water, and the water's really good. Go to a city and it's got that taste in it. Some horses won't drink that. So you gotta know that about your horse, and you have to mitigate that somehow, either hauling water from home or flavoring the water or something like that.
Anything special in your first aid kit?
Yes, I always carry a first aid kit with you know, bandaging supplies and bute. I carry Banamine in case a horse were to colic, and you know, when I'm at home, I know where my vets are and I know how long it takes them to get there, but when you're on the road, you don't know how long it's going to take you to get a vet. So I carry enough Banamine so that if I can't immediately get a vet, I can treat the horse. And I have my horse on probiotics, and so when I travel with him, I bring a paste probiotic to just give him a little couple squirts in the mouth extra. He gets it in his feed every day, but that just keeps that immune system going, keeps that digestive tract happy even when he's under stress.
Slide your right hand down the right rein. Good. Make sure that outside rein is loosened up.
You know, I frequently tell people I didn't get into this business for all the money that is to be made here. You get into this business because of a passion that you have for horses, and it's fun. I mean, my job is fun. I have a lot of good time. It's a lot more fun when I get to bring my own horse, but most of the time I don't get to do that. But yeah, I love my job. Sometimes it's hard to think of it as a job.
What a great program, and I want to personally thank Julie Goodnight for her riding guidance, and of course the fine folks at the C Lazy U Ranch for their Western hospitality. Until next week, remember, it's your life, live it, and live it well. I'm gonna go tack up a horse. I'll see you next week. For more information about Your Life Redefined, log on to our show's website at rl.tv. Maybe I'll ride better in Julie's saddle. This is like through osmosis, do I become a better rider?
You'd be surprised how much more.
Wouldn't that be nice? You sit in the saddle and I want to be a cowboy.